Okay, I'm going to go with the first one. So it basically asks, I'm just going to read it out. I'm sure you can read it, but just to move through quicker. What's the main difference between a BSc Computer Science degree and a BSc Information Knowledge Systems degree? So I'm going to give you a very general overview. So if you're really passionate about computer science,
Prof. Pillay, you may start. I see there's already kids posting questions.
okay, I am speaking. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Sorry, Abby, for some reason I don't think you can hear me, but the others seem to be able to hear me. Okay, so if you, okay. Okay, thank you. So I think everyone can hear me, so I'm going to go ahead. So the first question was, what's the difference between the computer science degree and the information and knowledge information systems degree? So the main difference is that the pure computer science degree focuses on computer science. So for each of these degrees, you have core computer science modules. And the core computer science modules, they are things that you'll do both in the Bsc Computer Science and the Bsc Information and Knowledge Systems degree. So that's the core. But the other modules that you can choose as electives, if you're doing the Bsc Computer Science degree, then this is, you're going to do computer science modules. Is there, if you're doing the RKS degree, so there you're going to actually not do just computer science modules for both the electives and the core modules. You'll do computer science for the core modules, but for the electives, you can actually choose modules from other disciplines. So if you wanted to combine sort of the systems design from informatics and you want to combine it with the pure computer science, then you can do the RKS degree. Similarly, if you want to do music and computer science, you can look at that combination. If you want to do data science and computer science, so that's the main difference. The BSc Computer Science, you're focusing more on the pure computer science, and when you're majoring, you're taking all your modules from computer science. Your RKS, you're taking some modules from other degrees as well. Does that answer your question? Okay, the other question is, do you need a laptop for this degree? And if so, what spec would be good? So I would really suggest that you do get a laptop. The entire School of IT is looking at, in the future, proposing that students do have a laptop for the degree because we'll be using it a lot. The spec will depend, and I think when you actually come in, we'll give you details of what spec will be good. But if you want that beforehand, you can just send me an email. My details are accessible on the CS website, and I can give you some options for different specs. I think there are also some discounts for students if you buy laptops and things like that. So I would suggest, yes, you do get a laptop. Okay, to move to the other questions. No, unfortunately, there's no way in which you can do it in less than 3 years. So the question was, can you do your degree in less than 3 years? Unfortunately, no, you can't do it less than 3 years. There are different part-time options, but the problem is all your lectures are going to be during the day. We don't offer a part-time degree, a BSc Computer Science, or part-time to cater for part-time students. Our honors degrees, we have our lectures from the late afternoon to the evening, and that's to cater for people that are working, but not our undergraduate degrees. So unfortunately, we don't offer a part-time degree, and you can't do it in less than 3 years. Okay. Your STK, I think, are your stats courses, and your WST are your maths courses. So you'll find that some courses are offered by the stats departments, and that's why you have a STK, and some courses are offered by the maths department, and that's why you have a WST. There are certain prerequisites and co-requisites, especially from maths, for your computer science degree, and that is why you'll see some of those modules in any of our programs for those degrees. What character traits should a computer science student have? So I can just speak from my experience. The main thing is you must really enjoy what you're doing. And if you look at the traits that a student should have, the field has changed, or also the type of people that take this degree have changed a little bit over time. So when I took it, it was very, you find very introverted people, but that's not the case anymore. Our students are very extrovert now compared to me when I took it umpteen years ago. I won't say how long ago, but it's not a degree anymore where you, if you want to work on your own in isolation, etc., that's something that will be good, but that has changed. The one thing that you should have is you must love problem solving. So when you write a program, you're actually not programming, you're not coding, you're actually solving a problem, and you're actually coming up with algorithms. And a lot of time people misunderstand this and they misconstrue it to mean that if you're writing a program, you're sitting and you're working on the computer board and you're coding, and it's coding in a language. It's not. You're solving problems. The language is just a tool to help you implement the problems you've solved. So you must really enjoy problem solving. That's the main thing. You must be somebody that thinks out of the box and thinks wider than just in a particular path. If you enjoy doing that, then that you'll definitely love computer science. So just to give you an idea of my background, I loved maths at school. And then at one stage, I wanted to become a maths teacher, but then I heard about computer science when I was in about grade 10. And then I got involved in computer science and coding. And usually people who like solving problems in maths and like mathematical problems, they usually like computer science as well. But the thing is, it's just problem solving and coming up with algorithms. That's the main thing that you must enjoy. And if you have analytical skills then and you enjoy solving analytical problems, then you're in the right place. I hope that answers your question. Yes, we do use these. So it says, do we mainly use Linux? Yes, everything in our department is based on Linux. You can run Windows shells, but everything is based on Linux in our department. What measures have you taken to ensure 100% employment for your students? Well, our students are very well sort of. Tux CS students are spoken about through industry. Industry loves our students. So what we do is yearly we have an advisory board, and the advisory board actually has representatives from the main companies in the country, and they actually give us input as to what they're looking for and how well we're doing. What industry loves about our students, there's two things. That our students are self-thinkers. So the way in which we teach in our modules, it helps you to become quite an independent thinker, and it also helps you to adapt. And basically you have, in a way, you develop sustainable skills no matter what the situation is then out in industry, you can change. And industry has commented on that, and we've had that come through our advisory boards. So that's the one thing, is staying in contact with industry to make sure that we are producing students that meet their needs and what qualities they are looking for in students. So that's the one thing. The other aspect where we bring, and I've mentioned this in my talk, where we bring industry in, is they're very much involved in our third year capstone project. That's cost 301 if you look at our syllabus. So those projects, usually industries propose topics. They work with academics in the department to help you achieve what you need for those topics, and then that's presented to industry. And that's also a quality control for us, because we get industry to then comment on the quality of those projects that are presented. And industry actually provides prizes for these projects, and at the moment we get so many prizes that it's increasing each year, the amount of industries that want to be involved in the prizes that they want to produce. So those are our two sort of avenues where we actually make sure industry is involved, we get input from them, and that we are producing students that they are happy with. I hope that answers your questions. So the next question is a very interesting question, is what are the main programming languages that are covered? Now, the one thing you need to remember, I'm going to mention what the main programming languages are, but when you're doing a computer science degree, you need to keep this in mind. When you're actually studying computer science, the knowledge that you go away with and the skills that you go away with mustn't be a particular programming language. That's not what we're training you for. The skills that you go away with are skills that you can apply in any programming language. When you go from one company to the next, you're going to have different languages. Some companies may even have in-house software and in-house languages. So the main thing that you need to take away, learning a programming language is easy, but learning how to solve problems and coming up with algorithms at different levels and for problem domains, that's the skill you need to take away with you. So irrespective of what the programming language is, you should still be able to come up with an algorithm or solve the problem. You should still be able to know you're going to do something called data structures in your second year. and that's one of the capstone modules in the project, in the degree, which helps you to learn how to program and solve different problems, but irrespective of the language, because you need to manage your data structures well, and in order to get a good balance of using memory and also sort of balancing memory with running times and processing time. So it's skills and techniques that you need to take away. And those skills and techniques you must be able to implement in any language. So we cover different languages. You'll see some Java, you'll see some C++ programming. C++, you start off with C++ programming, but you'll also do Java. You'll also find that you do a course that looks at a comparative study of different programming languages. So that's something else you'll also see in your third year. I hope that answers the question. What I suggest, the question on how I can combine biology with CS, I suggest you come into the department and you actually sit with our a curriculum advisor, and we can actually look at different options for you as to which aspects of biology you want to look at and how you can possibly combine genetics, or which section you want to combine with CS. It's not a question I can answer now, because you'll need to look at your program going from first year through to third year. But do come in, and then you can actually look at, we can discuss that before you get into your university and you start going. Come in earlier, make an appointment with the department, and we can by all means chat to you and give you advice on how to go forward with that. So what career options are there in Bsc Cs and Bsc Information and Knowledge Systems? Okay, there are a number of different things you can be involved in. So just to mention some of the companies that employ our students. So Intellect is one of the very popular companies that employ our students. You can start off working in different divisions, and you can build yourself up. So you can start off as a programmer, and then you can build up yourself to system analyst and different divisions in the company. EPIUS is another very popular employer of our students. They have you actually consult internationally, not just nationally. So we've had students that actually have been employed by EPIUS and then have continued on with postgraduate studies, and a lot of times some of them end up being based in overseas countries for the work they're doing for EPIUS. So that's quite an international company. Banks employ our students, so FNB, Standard Bank, Absa Bank, they employ students, so that's another option for jobs. So there you'll be developing software. A lot of the people go into data science departments in banks. Investec is another company, Microsoft. So they will actually, it depends on what aspect you're working on. You can go specifically into the data science part of the company, or you can go more into the financial. So there you'll be creating custom-made solutions for that particular bank. So that there are a number of different options. What's growing very quickly now is the whole idea of machine learning and using machine learning in industry. Places like DSTV and MultiChoice, their staff members are now getting even postgraduate degrees in machine learning and AI. So that's another area that companies are employing in, because that's growing very, very quickly. And that is why we try to bring together all the different current topics into our degrees. There are a number of cybersecurity companies. So if you actually enjoy cybersecurity and computer security, you can actually get jobs in cybersecurity companies if you want to go that route. In third year, you'll do modules in cybersecurity. Then it's good to do an honors to give you more foundation. In your honors, you can actually direct in the direction of software engineering or cybersecurity or AI, for example, to give you that foundation for the industry that you want to get in. So I hope that covers your question regarding what your career options are. So if you look at the next question, what topics are covered in the final year with AI? So we start at the beginning and where AI started. So if you've been playing around with AI, you'll see that AI starts off with very classical search, where you use classic search to do things like game playing, like solving problems. So the main difference is when you code, you come up with the algorithm. And the idea behind AI is that we're trying to see whether the computer can be given the tools to come up with the algorithm or solve the problem. So that's the main difference. So you'll start off with those classic AI techniques that just help to find an algorithm or a solution path without you having to code it or come up with the algorithm. But then that's extended, and it's extended as the field developed in AI. So the way the field developed is you then had the whole idea of applying that to game playing. You all heard about Kasparov and Deep Blue. And what is very interesting, the underlying algorithm of Deep Blue was a simple search algorithm. It was the Minimax algorithm with alpha beta pruning that was run on a distributed architecture. So and that is, so you'll go into game playing, expert systems, and then we come to the exciting stuff. So I think, as you know, the earlier areas in AI, one of their limitations was that they didn't learn. So whatever was put into the system was all the system could actually cater for. So the whole idea of machine learning, deep learning, evolutionary algorithms, you'll cover all that in your third year module. Different types of machine learning, things like genetic algorithm, genetic programming, particle swarm optimization, fuzzy logic, to some extent, and we do quite a lot of stuff on neural networks, so an introduction to neural networks, and then also deep learning, which is a big area now, and deep neural networks. I hope that answers your question on the topics. Well, once you're finished with your third year, and if you're interested in AI, I suggest you don't stop there, because we then, in honors, we have a number of AI modules, and they look at all these topics in detail. So we have one module on neural networks and reinforcement learning, one module on evolutionary algorithms, including things like genetic programming, search-based software engineering, another module on data mining, another module on a new area in AI called hyperheuristics. We have a module on image processing and AI. So don't stop after third year, go into that. Do we ever interact with electronics? Now, we don't do any hardware. We only do software. However, if you are interested in combining both the fields, you can think of when you do a project in your honors level to try and combine both the areas, but you don't learn any hardware. You don't you don't learn about, for example, how to create a robot, but you will learn about how to produce algorithms that can drive that robot. So I hope I've asked your question. I think that's what you mean. Do we look at the hardware side of it? Actually creating a robot, for example. Andreas? Yeah. So we don't create the robot, but we will actually create the AI algorithms that will actually make that robot work. Would you recommend taking physics or IT subjects at school? I would suggest do what you enjoy at school. I'm not sure what the level of IT subjects are at school and how well they prepare you, but you don't really need to do them if you're going into your degree for computer science or the IKS degree. So there's no preference with them. You can do what you enjoy, and you'll still be able to manage either degree with either physics or IT at school. Just make sure when you do the IT subjects, the ones that are more interesting, the programming subjects, not the standard CAT subjects. That will be more interesting for you if you're somebody that wants to get into computer science. But either one would actually be fine. Neither of them are going to put you at an advantage or disadvantage, because when you start in first year, it's assumed that you don't have any prior knowledge. Because I think we also teach in a different way that you learn at school, and that's another reason. So you either would be fine. Maybe you can just do what you enjoy. It's a pleasure. Any other questions? Go ahead, Mornay. I'm going to check in case your mic is not enabled, but let me just have a look. Where are we? Your mic should be enabled. Oh, okay, that's fine. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much for attending, and I hope you found the session, the talk informative and the session informative as well. I'll wait in here for about the next 5 minutes or so in case there are any further questions. Thank you, and hope to see you at UP studying with us in the future. So is test assessed mainly on programming or theory? Okay, so let me quickly look at that one. So it depends on which aspect you're looking at, and will depend on the module. So each module has different outcomes depending on the skills that we want you to achieve for that module. So for example, if you're looking at a first module and you're doing programming, what you're being assessed on is your programming skills, but not in terms of writing in the language, but in terms of problem solving and algorithms. So in that case, your assessments and your tests will be on coming up with algorithms and solving problems and coding that in a language, because that's the main outcome of the module. But if you look at something like a third year artificial intelligence module, you're not going to be assessed on how well you write your program. You will be assessed on, for example, the solution you came up, and there'll be two parts. There will be a practical part, because when it comes to AI, you've got to be able to code and balance memory and processing power well, especially if you're creating systems in the real world. So you've got to actually balance that well. And for that reason, you'll have programming assignments that allow you to do that and develop those skills. And you'll have a practical component. And then your tests will be more on the content of AI. So for example, you'll get a scenario and you'll be asked which AI technique will be the most suitable. So the assessments are based on the outcomes that are needed for that module. Because in the AI module, for example, you're not going to learn programming skills, but you need to be able to code and have certain programming skills to write AI systems, and that will be one part. And the other part of it will be you need to understand AI and you need to know where to apply it. So you'll be asked questions on to apply a particular technique to a particular problem. For example, design a neural network with this application or something like that. But in a first year programming course, of course, the main skills you need to develop are coding skills. If you take the second year data structures module, you need to learn which data structures are appropriate when you want to solve certain problems and you want to code them. So each module, the tests and the exams will depend on the skills and the outcomes we are trying to get for that module. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so the next question, with regards to computer science, are all the subjects at each year fixed, or can you choose electives? It's a balance. So in order to major in computer science, so what we mean by major, when you come out with a computer science degree, and in third year you do mainly computer science modules, or if you're doing the IKS computer science and the other the modules for the other major, so whether that's information systems or whether that's genetics or whatever it is, you have to have certain core modules, and for each discipline or each subject from first year through to third year, you have certain core modules. But at all levels, there's also electives. So it's a combination of core modules that you need to get a degree in that subject or to major in that subject. But in addition to that, you're also allowed some electives. And each program is structured differently. So if you're doing a Bsc Computer Science, if you go to our website, you'll see clearly what are the core modules, and then you'll see what are the electives, and similarly with the RKS degree. But it's a combination of both. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. Okay, any other questions? Yeah, please go ahead. You have one more question. After first year of computer science, is it possible to change to multimedia stream? What are the implications? It depends on the modules you've taken, and it depends on whether you would have got entry into the that program. I think if you got into computer science, you would have been able, you would have met the entrance requirements to multimedia. You'd have to sit and see, depending on what the core modules are in each degree, what you've got and what's missing. Because with the electives, you may be able to easily carry across. But with the core modules, if you haven't got them, then you may have to extend for a year or whatever it is. So it will actually depend, because they don't have a very big overlap. I hope that answers the question. What does the Ebitd Faculty House offer? So if you go to the website, you'll get the details of that. But Ebitd Faculty House is basically the student body that looks after the students in the faculty. So what each faculty has a student body in the faculty, and in Ebitd, that's Ebitd Faculty House. So they're basically part of the student representative council that looks after Ebitd students. But if you go to their webpage, you'll see all the things that they put in place and what support they provide for students, etc., because that's their main that's their main aim, is to support students and to be there for students, etc. And that's what Ebitd Faculty House does. I hope that answers the question. Can you switch from a Bsc Cs to a Bsc Non? Yes, you can. So we have a curriculum advisor in our department, and if you need to do that, then you just need to make an appointment with her, and then she'll meet with you, and then she'll help facilitate the process right up to the application that goes to faculty for changing over. But we have had students that have done both of that. They start off with one and go to the other, and vice versa. Okay. Any other questions? We still, I'm happy to answer a few more before we stop. Okay, with respect to the student placement at third year level, does that student need to find the project? Oh, okay. So you're speaking about our third year module on software engineering that I mentioned, where you actually work with industry. So for that project, we actually give you a list of projects. So what we do is first we work with the different industries and we get the list, and then we have a committee that sits and looks at those topics to make sure that they're suitable for what skills you need to achieve in a software engineering module. And then you actually get support throughout that. You meet regularly, you meet every week with what you call an assistant lecturer or with the lecturer. All the third year students are broken into groups and they each have their own facilitator. And that facilitator guides them through the project to make sure that the project's at the right level and it's meeting what your client wants from industry. So you get support throughout, and you've also will get a topic. You don't have to go out to industry and get a topic. We also need to screen those topics to make sure they're suitable, to make sure we get the outcomes from that module linked to it, so you are learning what you need to for that degree and for that module. So yeah, it's quite exciting. The students really love it. And actually industry likes it too. They like working with our students. Okay. Any last minute questions? I'm happy to answer questions for about 2 more minutes before we stop. If there are no more questions, thank you once again for attending, and thank you for attending both the talk and the question session. If you still do have questions, or if you want to interact with the computer science department, please feel free. You'll find all our details on our website, but you can also email me directly, and then I can put you in contact with either who can give you the information, or I can actually help you with the information. So please feel free to contact whenever you want. You contact us whenever you want to. It's a pleasure, and it's been very nice interacting with you. Unfortunately, we can't do this face-to-face. That would have been more fun. But thank you very much for your questions and for attending, and all the best with your studies, and hopefully to see you. I hope to see you soon at UP.